Your Ford dealership is hoping you never watch this video, because today we are exposing one of the most quietly profitable tricks happening in service departments across the country. Something so routine, so ordinary, that most Ford owners walk right into it without ever realizing they are being taken advantage of. It all starts with one simple visit, your oil change. And if you do not know how these scams work, that single appointment can turn into hundreds of dollars in unnecessary services. I have spent over 15 years working on Fords, F-150s, Explorers, Rangers, Broncos, Super Duties, and the one pattern I see more than anything else is owners paying for maintenance they absolutely did not need. And almost every one of those situations started with a basic oil change. Not because the oil change itself is a scam, but because dealerships use that visit as a gateway to pressure, upsell, and scare you into services Ford never actually requires. This is not about bad mechanics or a shady back alley shop. This happens at legitimate Ford dealerships every single day because dealerships rely on service revenue, not car sales, to stay profitable. And oil changes are their biggest opportunity. Once your truck or SUV is in that service lane, they know exactly how to turn a $60 oil change into a $400 bill. Today, you are going to learn how they do it and how to shut these scams down for good. The most common trick starts at check-in when the advisor mentions your oil change interval. They will say something like, "Ford recommends 10,000 miles between oil changes, but only under ideal conditions." Then comes the serious tone, "To protect your engine, you really need to change it every 3,000 miles, or at least every 5,000. It sounds reasonable, it even sounds responsible, but it is completely false. Ford does not recommend 3,000-mile oil changes on modern vehicles. Your owner's manual, both the printed version and the digital version built right into your touchscreen, states the real service interval. That is 7,500 miles for most models, and 10,000 miles for many EcoBoost engines running synthetic oil. Ford engineers design and test these engines to run safely on those intervals. The old 3,000-mile schedule is outdated, left over from the days when oil quality was poor and engines were not nearly as advanced. But dealerships push it because it means more visits, more opportunities to upsell, and more money flowing through the service department. They justify it by saying you do not drive under ideal conditions. But here is what Ford actually defines as severe duty: commercial towing, police pursuit, extreme desert heat, heavy idling, or constant stop-and-go city delivery routes. Daily commuting does not qualify, running errands does not qualify, weekend towing does not qualify. They are using vague language to scare you into unnecessary oil changes you do not need. Once the oil change interval scam is in motion, the next trick kicks in: overpriced oil upgrades. This one sneaks up on people because it sounds technical. The service advisor might say the standard oil is okay, but if you want better engine protection, smoother performance, or longer life, you should upgrade to a premium synthetic package. They will use phrases like high mileage formula, advanced cleaning technology, or protection additive package. But in most cases, the oil they are pushing is the exact same oil Ford already requires for your engine. Full synthetic, same brand, same viscosity, same certification. The only difference is the dealership charges more for it, sometimes $20, $30, even $50 more. I have seen service invoices where the premium synthetic upgrade is literally the same product the regular oil change uses, just with a higher price tag. It is not an upgrade, it is a markup, and one of the easiest scams for dealerships to pull, because most owners do not know Ford already specifies synthetic blends or full synthetic oil for nearly all modern engines. There is a scam that catches even smart, mechanically experienced owners: the multi-point inspection exaggeration. This is where dealerships really make their money. After you hand over your keys, a technician performs a routine inspection of tires, brakes, fluids, and filters. It is basic and it is standard. The scam happens when the advisor brings out an inspection sheet filled with yellow and red boxes. Suddenly, everything is urgent. The advisor may say a cabin filter is restricted, the air filter is contaminated, the battery is weak, the coolant is dirty, or the brake fluid failed the test. Here is the truth. Most of those items are nowhere near needing replacement. I have seen filters marked dangerously dirty that still had months, even years, of life left. I have seen brake fluid flagged as contaminated even though Ford does not require a flush until much later, or at all depending on the model. And the battery, most weak readings come from a cold morning or a vehicle that has been sitting. The multi-point inspection itself is not bad. The dishonest interpretation of it is. Dealerships highlight every minor thing in yellow or red because it creates urgency. Urgency leads to impulse decisions, and impulse decisions lead to huge profits. Air filters are a perfect example. A cabin filter that costs $12 online suddenly becomes a $70 air quality service. An engine air filter that takes 30 seconds to replace is billed as a $60 job. Brake fluid flushes and coolant flushes get pushed long before Ford's actual schedule requires them. The dealership turns routine wear into fear of damage, fear of breakdowns, fear of being unsafe. Most owners agree to the upsell because they assume the dealership knows best. But the biggest and most expensive scam tied to oil changes is the recommended mileage service package. If you have ever been shown a shiny brochure listing 30,000, 60,000, or 100,000 mile services, you have seen this scam firsthand. Dealerships present these as mandatory Ford maintenance intervals, complete with long lists of procedures, fuel system cleaning, throttle body service, transmission flush, differential service, induction cleaning, power steering flush, coolant treatment, and more. The service advisor acts like you are endangering your engine if you do not do the full package. Some packages cost $600, some cost $1,200, some go even higher, but here's what Ford actually requires. A handful of the items on that list, maybe a filter, maybe a fluid change. Many modern Fords, especially those with electric power steering or sealed transmissions, do not need half the services the dealership pushes. These big mileage packages are created by dealerships, not Ford. They are not official. They are not required. They are not even recommended by Ford Engineering. They exist purely because they are profitable. The dealership prints them, brands them as recommended, and hands them out like gospel. They are not part of any official Ford maintenance schedule. Ford does not require routine throttle body cleaning. Ford does not require fuel injector cleaning every 15,000 miles. Ford does not require power steering flushes on vehicles that use electric steering. Ford does not require most of the additives or conditioners dealerships love to sell. In fact, some treatments can harm modern engines, especially sensitive EcoBoost systems. I have seen vehicles come in with clogged catalytic converters, damaged O2 sensors, and misfires because of unnecessary chemical flushes someone convinced them to buy. The truth is simple. If a service is not in your Ford maintenance schedule, you do not need it. If a dealership tells you otherwise, they are selling you maintenance for their profit, not your vehicle's health. If you are finding this helpful, the next part goes even deeper, covering hidden fees, psychological tactics, and the high-pressure tricks dealerships use the moment you walk through that service door. The real danger of these oil change scams is not just the unnecessary services, it is the way dealerships use psychology to make you feel like you are doing something responsible. They frame every suggestion as protecting your investment, extending engine life, or preventing future breakdowns. And once they have planted that idea in your mind, the upsells start flowing fast. By the time you are sitting in the waiting room with that little buzzer in your hand, they are already preparing what I call the service scare pitch. It always starts the same way. The advisor walks towards you slowly, holding a clipboard or tablet, as if it contains medical test results. Their voice shifts from friendly to serious. They say they found a few things during your inspection. They pause on purpose. Then they tilt the screen just enough for you to see red warning boxes. Red means danger. Red means expensive. Red means you are about to nod your head out of fear, not logic. This is not an accident. Service advisors are trained to walk you through problems in a way that triggers Emotional reactions. They highlight words like contaminated, unsafe, premature wear, or urgent. Even if the issue is minor or non-existent, the language makes you feel like you have to fix it immediately. One of the most common tricks is the fluid color test. They will put a drop of fluid on a paper and point out the dark color, but fluids naturally darken as they age. That does not automatically mean they are failing. Brake fluid, for example, darkens quickly, but can still perform perfectly for years. Coolant color varies by formulation. Transmission fluid can darken slightly without needing a flush. The advisor does not explain any of that. They just hold up the brownish drop and wait for your reaction. Another tactic is anchoring, showing you a big, expensive package first, so the smaller services seem more reasonable. They might say something like, your 60,000-mile service is $900, but if you just want to get the essentials done today, this $250 package covers the basics. Suddenly, $250 feels like a bargain, even though Ford never required any of it in the first place. Dealerships also love to use the convenience angle. They tell you you are already here and they already have the vehicle apart. It makes you feel like saying no is somehow inconvenient for them or irresponsible for you. But what they do not tell you is that most of these services take minutes and require almost no disassembly. A cabin filter swap takes 30 seconds. An air filter takes even less. Yet they charge labor as if the vehicle had been disassembled down to the frame. The final tactic is the urgency play. If you say, I will do it next time, they counter by saying, they would not wait too long, we are seeing these fail earlier than expected. Or they will say, if this gets worse, it could damage other components. These statements are carefully worded. They do not say it will fail, they say it could. They are not lying. They are creating doubt. And doubt is the engine that drives unnecessary maintenance sales. So how do you protect yourself? It's simpler than you think. Everything you need is in one place, your Ford maintenance schedule, the exact list of services, mile by mile, for your specific engine and model. Not what the dealership recommends, not what the advisor circles in red ink, not what the touchscreen suggests based on dealership programs, the official Ford schedule. If a service is not on that list, you do not need it, period. No matter how urgent they make it sound, no matter how scary the language, no matter how dirty they claim a filter looks. You can access your maintenance schedule in seconds. Just open your Ford app, check your owner's manual, or pull up the digital manual right on your vehicle's touchscreen. Ford built that in for a reason. They want you following the real required maintenance, not the dealership's inflated version. Here is a trick almost nobody knows. Tell any dealership to perform only what is listed in the Ford maintenance schedule for your mileage, nothing else. That one sentence shuts down nearly every upsell tactic. They might push once or twice, but once they realize you know the real schedule, the pressure disappears instantly. Another smart move is asking them to bring you the actual part they claim is bad. If they say your filter is clogged, ask to see it. If they say your fluid is dirty, ask them to measure its boiling point or test it properly. When advisors know you are paying attention, they stop playing games. You can also bring a pre-filled note to the service desk. I have seen owners write the following: oil change only, no additional services without my approval, do not recommend any packages. Hand that over with your keys and you will be shocked at how little they try to upsell. And if you want to save even more money long-term, here is the simplest secret. Most basic maintenance, for example, filters, wipers, cabin filters, and battery installs, are incredibly easy to do yourself. These are 5-minute jobs that dealerships charge triple for. You do not need to be a mechanic. You just need to know that those tasks are not worth $60, $80, or $100 a piece. Ford builds great vehicles, strong engines, reliable transmissions, long-lasting components. But the service departments built around them depend on customers who do not know the difference between real maintenance and made-up maintenance. Once you understand how these oil change scams work, you will never fall for them again. If you want the next video to break down the actual Ford maintenance schedule, what is real, what is optional, and what is a complete waste of money, drop a comment below. If this helps you avoid even one unnecessary service bill, hit the like button and subscribe so more Ford owners do not get taken advantage of. Dealerships are not going to tell you this information. I will. I'll see you in the next one.